character, that all looks like fairly familiar territory. But the SDK also has to be a bridge to the unfamiliar landscape of a new form of storytelling. Now the stories are interactive and immersive. They're real-time, continuous, and they feel more like shooting a movie than watching one. The flow is affected by the attention of the audience. That means they have to be structured differently in both time and space. You have to replace the traditional film language of cuts and shots with new techniques. For working with this interactive story structure, this SDK has a story editor. Now let's say I want to make sure that the audience sees a key action, like here, Pepe about to pick up his hat. One technique is to make the story wait for you until you're watching. With the story editor, I can tell the action to pause and until your camera is pointing at Pepe. And then the action continues. Very simple. In this way, the story is interacting with you. When we're planning a story, we use storyboards. But it no longer makes sense to have just a sequence of storyboards as if the action is playing out on the screen. In an immersive story, we have a window onto a world all around us, and we have to deal with that space. So our 360 storyboard tool lets you place the boards all around you so that you can work out the story in space as well as time. And we can't stop at building these tools. We have to put them in the hands of storytellers, making it real, making it work as part of their process. And a growing number of award-winning filmmakers are exploring this new territory.
Working in a virtual world where the audience is essentially the camera changes things for you as a director.
We are trying to predict the curiosity of the viewer and make it all feel very seamless.
So that would affect the structure in like song, chorus and verse in the bridge.
You're kind of giving the control back to the audience, which I thought was a really interesting idea.
You can't just put a traditional story on this. You're going to have to think a lot about narrative in a different way.
Everything from the tools that we use to the way we write stories and the way we lay out narratives is going to change and become something exciting and new again.
Now, they're not just making stories, they're shaping the format. By using the tools, they're making the tools by telling us what they need to do. And of course, great storytellers need an audience.
So now we have to scale the distribution of these kind of stories and get them to more viewers. So this week, we launched the Google Spotlight Stories app for Android, and very soon after, it will be for iOS. Where you can find curated stories by great storytellers, you can share them with your friends and look behind the scenes. And this summer, we're on YouTube. Our interactive format supported natively in YouTube Mobile. So now, filmmakers have the means to make these stories, and we can put them at the hands of hundreds of millions of viewers. Done, we planned our vacation. Then somebody had to ask, what about live action? What are you doing there? And so that somebody was Justin Lin. And when Justin saw Windy Day the first time, our first story, he was instantly intrigued by this idea of